All right, so let's get started. We divided the panel in 4 questions that we want to make, and I just want to sort of lay the agenda for everyone. I would ask them to make a brief introduction about the company, about what they're doing, just so you get a better idea of their current activities. Second, we're going to start talking about their personal leadership and transformation drive when they started till today. Then we're going to talk a little bit about success and their own definition of success, and then how are they multiplying that success. After that, we'll open to Q&A from you guys. So why don't we start, Leila, with you. Take a minute to describe Beleza Natural, please.
Beleza Natural is all about self-esteem. It's a chain of beauty institutes and a cosmetics factory specialized in curly hair treatments for low-income women in Brazil. We have the chain of institutes and a cosmetics factory, and what we do is try to use beauty to transform people's lives.
How many clients do you have?
Around 120,000 a month, and we have 3,200 employees. And last year's revenue was around $100 million.
Wow, very good. Wow. Martín?
Well, Globant is a company that is in the business of creating software products for global companies. We're in the business of creating those products that needs to be very appealing to seduce millions and millions of consumers every day. We do that for main companies here in the US, plus some companies in Latin America, some companies in Europe too. We grew the company from 4 founders 12 years ago to almost 4,000 people by the end of last year. We did $200 million in revenue last year, and we took it public after a long process of almost 4 years. And we became the first company in Latin America on the professional services industry to become a public company in the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah, and not just tech, it's in the professional service industry broadly defined. That's amazing. Well done. And at $700 million market cap, I think, right now, no?
Yes.
Yeah,
700.
That's pretty good. Thanks. Vinny?
So, yeah, I've been part of Endeavor for 9 years now. So it's my 3rd Endeavor company. And Gyft, I started this one 3.5 years ago. It's a mobile gift card platform. So if you know all those plastic gift cards in the store, it's basically that on your phone, so you can transfer money and value around from mobile to mobile, or web to mobile as well. So we recently sold the company 9 months ago to First Data Corporation. It's based in New York. They are the largest payments company in the world. They process $1.8 trillion a year in payments. So they're a big player in the sort of value chain, and we're the front-end experience for the consumer now in the gift card space.
Great. So I had a brief discussion yesterday with an entrepreneur from Mexico. He asked me, what do you think of Mexico? How do you see the country? I said, so here's the thing. We have a GM executive, Nefsat. He was going to be here. He couldn't make it because he sold, Linda told you yesterday, he sold his company, which is sort of the seamless food delivery, restaurant food delivery to your house of Turkey. He sold it for $585 million. And there's these Mexican companies in Delantal that does roughly the same thing. Is a company for Mexico, which got sold for $15 million. And Turkey and Mexico are countries that actually Mexico has higher population, higher GDP per capita, higher internet penetration. How can that be? How can it be that there's a $20 million valuation and a $600 million valuation over here? And it doesn't make any sense. So my response to him was, I see in Mexico and in a number of countries a lack of drive, push, hunger of a certain group of entrepreneurs to win. It doesn't have to be 600 million. It doesn't have to be money. Whatever is your definition of success, we'll get to that. But let me ask the 3 of you, how do you get that drive, that energy every morning to win, whichever is your measure to win? What is driving you? You are not randomly selected. You're not here because we randomly selected entrepreneurs. You clearly are among those entrepreneurs that want to win at all costs at a big size. You're not comfortable saying where you are right now. Where do you get that energy? Is it breakfast or Leila? What's going on?
That's a tough one, but I think, well, the word enthusiasm means to have God inside of you. I really believe that. I think it's a power within that makes what we do have a bigger purpose than just making money. I really believe that. I have, as I said, 3,200 employees. 90% of them have in Beleza Natural their first job opportunities. I know that it's not only about the customer. It's also about changing my community, changing my country. This is really thrilling for me. And also the opportunity to show that it's possible to come from humble beginnings and to change our society, our structure, by doing something that is really valuable for everybody that is involved with Beleza Natural's dreams. And I think the self-esteem issue is not only because we are in Brazil, when we are a poor country. I think this is a worldwide concept, only translated in different ways. And I really think that Beleza Natural, and my mission, is to make it available for as many people as possible.
I think just to push a little bit on that, and we'll get to you guys, but I'll give you a chance later, Leila. But I get that, I understand, but you can say, so we're going to go from 0 to 10,000 people impacted in the world. That's a pretty big number. From 10,000 to 100,000 people impacted in the world, that's a pretty big number. That's where you are right now. And maybe 100,000, that's a big. You're not thinking of 100,000, you're thinking of millions and millions, or if not billions of people. Where I think most people in the planet would be very happy if they meet 10,000 or 100,000. That's big enough. So I guess, let me go back to Martín and Vinny and then get back to you just to push a little bit on I think there's an extra drive that wants you to win more than that, no? Martín?
I think what Leila said is absolutely true. I mean, for me, that's a meaning of passion and drive and all the things that you want to change and not being happy without changing, in a substantial manner the status quo at some point. But I would say, during that beautiful definition, then there's some moments where you have everything against you, and an entrepreneur knows what I'm talking about. Everything against you. And I think that those are the moments where that, that passion needs to become, more relevant to you, and that needs to be fueled. That energy for those moments needs to be fueled after enjoying, certain moments of kind of, I would say, small wins, and relax on those moments and say, okay, I'm refueling for heading the next storm that is coming. So I think that dynamic is extremely important, and that dynamic needs to belong to the team. It's not about one person. The team needs to understand that dynamic. At some point, everything going to be against you. At some point, everything going to be great. So let's refuel the energy and always thinking when everything is against you, always thinking that at some point that will finish and you will be able to change. But those crisis moments, I think that are the most important places where you take good decisions or bad decisions. And those are the most important places where you innovate. Because in those moments, you are obliged to rethink pretty much everything you're doing in some way or another. So I would say that's the energy and the way of thinking that at least our team as entrepreneurs, we think that way. Yeah. Okay? Of course, it needs to be fueled with a longer-term vision, which is our passion. We want to change the status quo. We want to change all those things. But then on the micro moments, then it's different. I
agree. I think that's a very good answer. And I know you and I agreed to disagree, so we bring some tension. But on this one, I have to agree with you, which is Seth Godin mentioned yesterday this example of people that stay on a plane. If you stay, it's United Airlines' fault. If you get out of the plane and try to find your way, then it's your fault. One of the things that I hate the most, and it happens at Endeavor, I think international organization, is people that tell us, well, Fernando, you don't understand my country is so different, and we don't have financing, and we know the government is against us, and taxes are very expensive, and we cannot find talent. And I tell, well, any entrepreneur in any city in the world says exactly the same thing, so we understand perfectly. But I think there's a victim that something is happening, something is bad, and she'd rather stay here. And I think you guys, particularly at Globant, have been, the four of you and your whole company has been one where you're not victims of anything. You're not going to take it from anyone.
I can tell you many histories where we are victims.
Yeah.
We prefer to avoid them.
But you're not going to play the victim, I guess, if you want. No? You're going to make it into an opportunity.
That's not the game.
Yeah. Right. Vinny?
Yeah, I think when I mean, a lot of us here probably we come from emerging markets. I was born in South Africa during the apartheid era, so we come from challenging backgrounds. So I think the thing when we look forward is you never want your children to be in the same place you were as a child. I have 2 kids. I don't want them to ever be living in a world where they're trapped. There's no opportunities, etc. So I want to create those for my family going forward. I want to make sure that my kids go to schools I could never go to universities I could never get into. And so that's what drives me. I think what drives me is making sure the next generation that I have in my family is further ahead than I was as a child.
But you can do that with a $2 million a year company.
That's true. But I think ultimately human beings are driven by...
And it's probably wiser to stay at $2 million if you know,
Yeah.
why do you risk?
This stuff is not easy.
Yeah.
Everyone here knows entrepreneurship is not easy. But I find entrepreneurs are often driven by 3 things, similar to markets. It's greed, fear, or passion. Okay, and sometimes a combination of all 3. And so when you're driven by passion, you kind of forget about greed and fear. You just go into the wild unknowns and you try what works, and you fail and you fall over and you have to get up again and keep going for it. When you're driven by greed, you don't actually have any fear most of the time. You're so greedy, you want to win, and you actually lose sight of what's important. You lose sight of the passion, you lose sight of the fear. And so I always think that being passionate is more important than anything. Being passionate about what you want to do, but the goals for your company, that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. Like I look forward. I don't like a period of stasis in my company. When things are going well, that I actually get fearful. When everything's going fine, that's when I'm really worried, because we're not pushing ourselves to the edge. There's a good movie actually. It's actually a book and a movie you want to watch it. It's called The Day the Earth Stood Still with Keanu Reeves. Anyone watch that movie?
I don't think it's a good movie. Sorry. But